Hi, I'm Kristen White, and I invite you to join me each week as I interview experts who talk about the things that matter to you here on The Ripple Effect. Hi, I'm Kristen White. There's a world of good news out there. Let's start in Houston, Texas. Zoo cheetahs are running wild at a local horse racetrack. Of course, the horses are not on the track at the same time. Cheetahs are kept confined at the zoo and need to get a chance to run at a top speed to stretch their legs. Let's check out the story.
Today we came out to the Sam Houston Race Park and we're going to run our two cheetahs and their companion dog, who is an Anatolian Shepherd. And very nicely the racetrack agreed to let us do it here when there's no horses. So we're going to set up our lure course that our staff actually made out of a lawnmower motor. And it pulls a lure that is today going to be a stuffed duck. And the cheetahs and Taji will chase it down the track and get up to speeds that they can never do at the zoo. Cheetahs are the fastest land mammal. They can go up to 65 miles an hour. We don't think our two boys are going to get up to that speed today because it takes a lot of conditioning. And this is only the second time they've actually run here at the track, so they haven't had a lot of time to build up endurance. Just like when we run, we have to practice for a race. They have to practice for those speeds. The lure right now is just about 600 feet. And that's the length that it's been shown that cheetahs need to get up to their top speed. So we started out shorter, and now today we're going to run that full 600 feet. If you watch them when they're running, you can see they have really big, long back feet, and that helps them put on the brakes. Cheetahs also have non-retractable claws, like house cats can pull their claws back in, and cheetahs can't do that. And those act like cleats, and that can help them put on those brakes too. Cheetahs have a very strong hunting instinct. They're sight hunters, which means when something runs, they want to chase it. So to them, that lure is a little prey animal that's running away from them. So when they see that going, it's that instinct that kicks in and makes them want to chase it. And then at the end, they get a bowl of their food, and that food is mostly to reinforce them for stopping. So they know that, you know, I'm going to get to chase this lure. They get to catch the lure if they want it, and then we trade them out for their bowl of food. The goal for bringing them out to the racetrack is really a benefit for them. There's a lot of studies that are starting to show that cheetahs need to get up to those speeds in order to be healthy. They have to burn off certain metabolic components. And so even though it's really fun for us to be out here watching them, it's more for them to have that psychological and physiological need met for what they have to have being in captivity.
According to the National Geographic, only about 7,000 to 10,000 cheetahs are alive in the wild today. And in outer space. If you thought it was quiet in space, well, you were wrong. Instruments aboard NASA's orbiting radiation belt storm probes have picked up audio from the phenomena known as chorus, radio waves that come within the Earth's magnetosphere. And they sound more like birdsong than aliens from outer space. So let's turn up the volume to listen to a song from space. That's the world of good news for this week. I'm your host, Kristen White. Let's start a ripple. Coming up next, Drew Canole, America's favorite transformational coach.
Hi, Drew Canole, transformation coach and expert. Remember, we're in this together. What I'd like to do for you this week is give you a 1-minute tip that you can apply to get extraordinary results. You see, in any transformation program, a lot of people get confused. They do 3 to 5 to sometimes 21 things at once, and they never complete that one task. So this week, I'd like to give you a tip centered around adding lemon to warm water. Real simple and easy, but the payoffs are huge. You see, when people wake up in the morning, they're chronically dehydrated because they didn't drink anything over the night. They had their caffeine, their supplements, their stimulants the day before, and they need something that's nourishing. So this morning, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of lemon to some warm water. Now this aids in phase 2 liver detoxification, it alkalizes your body, and it's just overall amazing. And once you get used to it, it tastes great. You can add a little cayenne pepper to it too if you want to, but this is the tip. Tremendous health benefits in this glass right there. Do this every day for the next week, and I'll give you a tip next week. Drew Cannoli, remember, we're in this together. I'll see you soon.
How do you turn your passion into cash? Bill Walsh is America's business expert. He teaches entrepreneurs across the globe how to create massive business success.
You may not realize it, but now more than ever is the best time to become an entrepreneur. I'm here with America's business expert, Bill Walsh, and he's here to give us some strategies on not only how to get started, but how to find success as an entrepreneur. Bill, welcome to the show.
Please, thanks for having me. How are you?
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here. So why is it such a good time to become an entrepreneur?
Well, if you think about it, right, it's like the perfect storm. You know, there's so many challenges in the job marketplace. There's so many super talented people, and we no longer live in just one local economy. I mean, today when you launch a business, you're now in the global economy. So where could it be ever taken place where literally you could come up with an idea and then have that idea sell your product all over the world? Instantly for, I mean, a 13-year-old kid making $50,000 a month selling hot sauce. Unheard of.
Yeah, I hear such amazing stories about success from people who come up with an idea and then they're in business almost overnight.
Yeah, because think years ago it would cost you tens of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars to even launch, or even a franchise, you know. But today you can start a business for, you know, less than a couple $1,000s, get an idea out there, get good media, get good print, and before you know it, because of social media, now you've got customers all over the world wanting your product.
Right. You know, it's interesting because we hear about people who have ideas for businesses. I mean, you're out to lunch with your friends.
Right.
You hear people, I've always wanted to start a business like this. But a lot of people just don't pull the trigger. Why is that?
Fear.
Yeah.
Fear is the #1 answer, and I think a lot of times what happens is people get very comfortable.
Yeah.
They get kind of like, you know, everything's kind of going along good, but they don't realize that, you know, most people in our country, in the U.S., are probably 6 months away from being broke. Which means if they were let go from their job, they don't have a lot to fall back on. So I always tell people this is a great time to start a part-time business. You know, find even either a home-based business or an internet business or something that can generate some extra revenue for you. One of the hottest things today is membership sites.
Right.
You know, if you've got a good, let's just say you're good at gardening. You can literally launch a membership site, you know, sell a program where you teach people how to garden or cooking for $10 a month where you give your great tips on video today, on audio. And if you just had an extra 500 or 1,000 customers paying you $10 a month, and the thing is, once again, you're no longer doing business in your backyard. Your backyard is now the world.
Break it down for us step by step. If you needed to get started, like say you had an idea,
so once again, so the first thing, you got an idea, right?
Okay.
The second thing is you have to become a great leader. You have to be the one that's going to be the janitor, be the CEO, the CFO. You really have to be willing to do all the work. So become the great leader. The next thing is have a great plan.
Right.
I mean, if you were to take a vacation, you would call the travel agent, you'd book this, you'd book that. It's the same in business. You're going to build a house. You start with a plan.
Tell me a little bit about your book, The Obvious.
Oh, it's a fun book. So you probably heard of the movie called The Secret, right?
Yeah.
So I decided to write a brand new book called The Obvious. You actually have to get off the couch. You have to do some of it, because you can dream about it all you want, right? But at the end of the day, all the dreaming in the world is not going to make it happen like actually taking action. So The Obvious really talks about the laws for universal success, which means, you know, are you doing the right things? Are you planning? Are you working at it? Are you actually serving the customers? Are you creating value? Because a lot of times what happens is that we go from being busy, and then before you know it, we wound up running out of money, and these companies run out of business. But it's a sign of the times that the innovators are winning over and over. So The Obvious talks about becoming an innovator in your space, which means own your space. Pick that niche, own that niche. I believe specialists get wealthy, generalists get paid. And then, of course, once again, who do you surround yourself with? So you have to find a team. And I think people say, well, that's where I get scared. I don't have the money for a team. You'll find that you can barter, you can partner, you can hire people that play at things you have to work at. And they'll make your job a lot easier because they're great at, find some 20-year-old kid that's brilliant at making websites. And the funny thing is that they're all over every college campus in this country. And they're probably 1,000 times better than you are trying to do these things. So let them do it, you know what I mean? And then from there, once you've got those things rolling, then it's really about building the business. So who's going to become your joint venture partners?
Yeah, and no reason to be threatened by them. You know, some people are like, I have to protect my idea, so they don't launch the idea because they want to protect the idea.
Well, the other thing is they believe they have to own the whole company.
Right.
Most of us know that Bill Gates is the largest shareholder in a small company called Microsoft, right?
Right.
You know, but they don't know that he only owns less than 4% of the company.
Right.
So it's much better to have a small piece of something really big versus a big piece of something that stays really small.
So talk to me about, you said the universal laws of business success. Share with us at least one of them.
Well, let me give you one of them. Obviously, what I realized a long time ago is that unless you're willing to get outside your comfort zone and really serve people, I mean, truly understand that service is not about how much money you can make, right? Mm-hmm. It's really about how many people can you serve. And so one of the things we talk about, which will really help a lot of entrepreneurs, is that when you're starting your business and you're just getting going, we teach a simple law called motivation versus inspiration, right? And what happens for motivation is it keeps you busy all the time. Motivation might be great if you work at a car sales lot, right?
Yeah.
Might get you excited about your job for the day. Woo, woo. But what we realize is that true inspiration comes from within.
Right.
So what I believe is that if you just draw a simple circle here and a line to the right and it says, here's where I'm at today, here's where I'm going tomorrow, start with a really big vision and make sure the vision lines up with your values and your actions. Mm-hmm. Which means a lot of people tell me that, I really want to get in shape, but they sit on the couch all day eating bonbons.
Right.
They're not getting in shape. Everybody wants to get in shape. Nobody wants to go to the gym, right?
Right.
But what you'll find is when you start with a big enough vision, it will literally pull you to your goals.
Right.
It is unbelievable how powerful this becomes. And in business, one more idea is that become what's called an intuitive performer. Mm-hmm. Become someone that operates from a place called unconscious competence. You don't have to think about it. You literally own that space, and you own it because you know the space, you serve tons of customers, and you're getting paid for it. Just a couple of different laws.
Yeah. Amazing advice from Bill Walsh, America's business expert. Thank you so much for being with us on the show. And
it's been great.
Incredible tips. Thank you.
And thanks again for having me. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
Is there something you'd love to attract in your life? Well, coming up next, Andrea Wolf is the author of the book, Ignite Your Life: How to Get From Where You Are to Where You Want to Be. So I'd like you to meet the queen of having it all.
Hi, I'm Kristen White, host of The Ripple Effect. If you enjoy the interviews on the show, well, I have good news for you. You can learn more from these amazing experts who appeared on the show. All you need to do is go to the website, KristenWhiteTV.com. And guess what you'll find there? An extended interview, more than 15 minutes long, about all of the extra wisdom that we just couldn't even fit into the show. So go to Kristen White TV online, look up your expert's name, and learn everything else that they had to contribute that we simply couldn't fit into the show. See you on the website. It's a big question for many of you. How do you get from where you are in your life to where you truly want to be? Well, my guest today is an expert coach, Andrea Wolf, and she's the author of the book, Ignite. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you, Kristen. Great to be with you.
So how do we do that?
Well, it starts with understanding what's got you where you are. Mm-hmm. What has been holding you back, whether it's external to you or inside you, inside that wonderful mind of yours. And often you have no idea that you've inherited certain beliefs about yourself and that you're living them out later in life, in your adult life. And so it's really important to clear all that out by really just getting in touch with it and getting clear. Once you've done that, then the world is your oyster. And the next step is to give yourself permission to actually dream up what it is you really, really want. And whilst that sounds incredibly simple, it's amazing how few people actually do it.
Tell me a little bit about your book.
Ah, my baby. Ignite Your Life: How to Get From Where You Are to Where You Want to Be. So this is my first book, and I am delighted to talk about it. This got created out of my desire to reach more people than I could possibly coach one-on-one. Mm-hmm. And I realized that it needed to be incredibly simple. So you'll feel me taking you by the hand. It's a very gentle book. It's a very action-oriented book. So the chapters are short, very easy to read. And like I started to say, it starts with clearing out all those limiting beliefs that have really been running the show in your life. And then from there, once we do that, you get clear about your life, how you feel about every area of your life. And then from there, it's about picking a couple of areas to focus on and creating that ideal vision. And then once you've done that, then you create the plan, and then you begin to get into action. And the last section of the book is actually how to live an ignited life. Because let's not take that for granted. If it's a bit like exercise. When you go for that first time when you haven't been exercising, it really feels strange and, let's say, a little bit painful. So it's the same thing when you haven't been living the way you've been maybe yearning for decades. When you start to do it, you might just sabotage it. So I touch on some very simple ways to actually enjoy the journey.
Andrea, talk to us about managing negativity in our lives.
So there are three primary sources of negativity. One is outside yourself, and it is the media. The news is designed to keep you hooked. It's almost like a drug. If you start to notice, like the timing and how they seed the next upcoming disaster that they're going to tell you about, yeah, you're nodding, really, you're nodding. This is your background, right?
It is.
And so it's such a trap if you get pulled into and sucked into. The next area to pay attention to is your friends and family, your immediate close community. Now, let me be clear from the offset, I do not mean excommunicate everybody in your life.
I want to be alone.
Go find a new group, right?
You're negative.
So I don't mean that. So keep your friends and family. However, pay attention to who in the midst of all these friends and family, often it's family members,
right,
are naysayers. They say stuff to you like, well, that'll never work. Who do you think you are?
We don't know anybody who does that, do we? Right?
Yeah. Wonderful, uplifting remarks like that.
Right.
So the way to handle them, to give you a strategy, is to say to them, thank you for sharing, genuinely, no sarcasm, because that will leave them nowhere to go, and then continue on the pathway that you are on, and do not let them stop you. It's an interesting thing when you start to change, is people get unsettled around you. It's like, where did Andrea go? So what you want to do is assure everyone you're still you, but you're growing and you're changing, and bring them with you. So the negative ones, you want to manage them. You might want to manage how much time you spend with them. If, let's say, they're sort of a bit more distant family. If they're close family, you may become contagious by being more positive and just inviting them over here in this green pasture and come play over here.
You know, I've heard studies where oftentimes, and accounts of this too, oftentimes it only takes one person inside a family or a workplace to shift their energy. Absolutely. And then over time, you'll see everyone in that space has a shift.
Yes. I say, when I go into companies and I coach the management and then the teams, is any one person can transform this whole company. So it could be the receptionist. It could be the guy in the mailroom. It could be the CEO. It could be anyone by putting a stake in the ground and being a stand for fill in the blank. Excellence, being a stand for commitment, being a stand for
enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm, I was going to say joy, right?
Right.
Just that. And it's amazing how it's felt. Other people start rising like cream to the top too.
Amazing.
It is amazing.
Andrea Wolf, thank you so much for being here with us on the show and sharing your expertise and your incredible book, Ignite. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up next, how to stand out from the crowd and learn how to inspire others with leadership expert Alan Millam.
Do you ever wonder who's in charge these days? In fact, in the world today, as companies close and businesses change, who in fact is the boss? Well, there's an opportunity out there. My guest today, Alan Millam, is here to talk about leadership and his expertise in that area. Alan, welcome.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here.
So, Alan, what is going on in terms of leadership in the world today?
Well, you know, it's a fascinating topic because we often think of leadership being, as you said, related to government or organization, work, but really leadership has to, in this day and age, start from an inside-out job. It's really starting with the individual. And if you've tracked the statistics recently, we have the highest level of unhappiness in our work. We have the highest level of unhappiness with our bosses. And the good news is, with all this change and shifting in America, we have more of a move to entrepreneurism, right? And a lot of them are saying, you know, I'm tired of being, you know, working with someone up there that doesn't know how to lead effectively, how to motivate, how to inspire. And so they're actually moving entrepreneurially and saying, you know, it's time for me to take over.
You know, that's such a great point. I mean, how can someone decide, you know what, it's time for me to step into that leadership role?
Right.
Like, what are the signals?
Well, the first one, which is on the road to what we call burnout, has to do with the dissatisfaction. If you're waking, I call it the Monday morning blues. If you're waking up on Monday morning and you're in that traditional 8 to 5 kind of thing, and you're noticing, for example, that you're dreading that, clue number one, right? So if you're coming home at the end of the day, and if you have loved ones, family and whatnot, and your reserve tank is on, clue number 2, and just being able, from a place of possibility, begin to articulate what is that next step. How can I lean to be a little more powerful? What if I wanted to have a little more authority? What would that look like?
Do you think it's important, whether it's in your home or in your business, to create that quiet space?
Absolutely. I'm not talking about creating little, you know, yoga studios, with, you know, right? But it is about being able just to unplug. So if you're in a work environment which is public, you know, take a break and just walk around outside. We're going to get out of the building.
Right.
If you have the ability to
take some deep breaths.
Totally. A lot of it is, you know, with practice, and a lot of practices out there talk about the power of breath work. So it really is about taking those little breaks to re-energize ourselves, to be more on point for what we're doing, and have more energy at the end of the day coming home.
Share with us some of the statistics. I mean, there's a lot of hard facts about exactly what you're talking about.
Right. Well, I'm cautious because it always takes me a little bit into fear and doubt when I say them, you know. But I think it's important.
Don't be frightened.
Force field yourself.
That's right.
So it bounces off you.
Right.
But when we look at, you know, I mean, you know, we look at how we're medicating ourselves. You know, I think you know, sort of medicate is such a fascinating word because if you flip out one letter, you have meditate. Right, and I always
never thought of that.
I've always sort of been intrigued with how medicate and meditate are so, you know, one little letter away.
Different levels of calmness.
Totally. But we have, you know, I think 1 in 4, 1 in 5 adults now is on some kind of prescription drug, anti-anxiety and anti-depression drug, all-time high, even down to our children. You know, we're just really medicating, and we want to, you know, we have to respect that from one perspective, but also, you know, are we patching, band-aiding ourselves with certain issues that we can actually correct by having more stillness, by having more mindfulness, by having more calm, to give us more centeredness in our life. So, you know, the unhappiness statistics with regard to our general lives, to our unhappiness at work. I just don't think the answer is really out there. I think, you know, we've done our best, and here we are with amazing resources, amazing technology, and why are we so unhappy, right? And I think that we really need to come back home. We need to come back to ourselves and really take a hard break at it. You know, when 9/11 happened, I had a couple clients who just said, you know, that's it for me. We are moving to Montana, right? I mean, they just felt, because they both were playing a very big game, you know, an important one, but they realized that the cost of it was actually causing them to build something that required so much external focus. And I think for every one that may have moved and simplified their lives and come back to family or whatever, I think another 9 may have thought about it, but then went right back to work. So I don't want to wait for another external event. I really think this is very possible right now. And, you know, it just starts with one small action.
Alan, as a leadership expert, what would you say directly to the young leaders of tomorrow?
the one thing. Well, the whole discourse here is really about having that young leader being able to know who he or she is, and to have the confidence and the faith in themselves to know that they are here with perfect purpose. The career today is going to move, for most young people, they're going to have multiple careers, right? It's a very, very different backdrop than a generation ago. And so I think for our young generation, it's about really understanding who they are from a value base, what they believe in, and then to have, and to build that internal base so that they can lead from there. And force field what comes in, right? Force field how much of you accept the messaging, so it's running, so that you're running your own value system and not compromising that from maybe those external messages that are coming from you from the outside.
Absolutely. Alan Millam, thank you so much for being here and giving us some amazing and insightful ideas about leadership. Thank you.
That's great.
I'm here in Sedona, and it's one of the most beautiful places, I believe, here on the planet. It's so visually rich with all of the red rocks and the gorgeous blue skies. And it's where I'm introducing my series, Spirituality Boot Camp, the 7 Principles of Spiritual Practice. Well, the next principle we're going to cover is visualization. Visualization is the most powerful tool that you can use to send a message to the universe about what you'd like to attract in your life. It goes through the gateway of your imagination. So when you can have a vision, a very clear vision about what you'd like to see in your life, it comes to you faster. It manifests in a way that can sometimes feel miraculous. So your assignment for this spiritual practice of visualization is to create a vision board. I'm sure you've heard of vision boards before, but they actually work like magic. So take some time and create an image of what you'd like to see inside your life now. And look at the images. Feel the experience as if it's already happened. And connect to the experience of having it emotionally inside your heart. Your heart is a powerful magnet. And when you use it every day with visualization, you'll get results with Spirituality Boot Camp. Coming up next, get naturally fit with holistic fitness expert Kimberly Johnson.
Hi guys, welcome back to A Minute to Fitness. I'm so excited you're here with me today because we are going to work on arms. We're going to do some arm circles. So when you're at home and you're in the kitchen and the pot's boiling, let's not sit there and watch it, let's do something. So we're going to start with the arms extended and then roll them forward. We're going to spiral out. So you want to start with little tiny circles. Let's also add the abs in a little bit here by drawing the belly button into the spine. So we're nice and tight in our center, in our core. And we're gonna do arm circles for 1 minute, and let me tell you, your arms can get quite heavy. So 1 minute goes a long way, people. Just keep rolling it. Now spiral out with your arms a little bit bigger and wider. And keep it going. Beautiful, you're doing great. Now I'm gonna spiral backwards. Reach your fingertips long like you're trying to touch the walls on each side of you. So we're adding a little bit of Pilates in here. And by keeping the fingertips long and the fingers long, we're engaging the triceps. So keep it going. Shoulders down away from our neck. Let's stay up nice and tall. Lengthen that spine. Beautiful. That is it for your Minute to Fitness. Thank you so much, guys. Just 1 minute a day is going to create a ripple effect. And then you're really gonna love your body. Thanks. Any emails, questions, please feel free to email me at The Ripple Effect, and I'll get back to you with whatever your situation is.
Thanks for joining me this week on The Ripple Effect. I'm your host, Kristen White. If there was something inside the show that spoke to you, that got you excited or even inspired, I encourage you to take action today. I believe it only takes one thought, one sentence, or even one word to make a difference in your life. So let's start a ripple.